So, Dad, how do you take a small victory and turn it into a big win?
Well, it's building on the success. It's a confidence builder for one thing. You know, one of the things I do with all my clients to kick off every call, and we do it with our team meetings, I do it with my masterminds, is what are 3 wins since the last time we talked? And it gets you in this mindset of successes, of, yeah, this was a really shitty day. Oh, really? Was it? Give me 3 things. 3 things that were wins, and you certify them, not me, not anybody else. You certify them as wins. And when we think about that as goals, it doesn't even have to be a win in the step towards the goal. Think about this. Because a win in the step towards the goal is significant in itself, right? So that moves me closer to accomplishing the goal. But a win, nonetheless, it's still a win. Even if it didn't move you closer to the goal, even if it's a completely different category, you know, one of my tongue-in-cheek examples that I use with all my clients is, you mean to tell me that sandwich you made at lunch wasn't very good? I mean, that peanut butter and jelly sandwich I made today for lunch was outstanding. That's a win. Right? I mean, I got friends who joke about, well, I woke up this morning and my feet hit the ground. If that's the win for you, then that's a win, because we succeed in our mind. And by identifying the wins, identifying this was a victory, this was a success, it gives us the confidence to continue to move forward. Even though we may struggle in other things in that category of that goal, let's say, we may not have any wins this week. Okay, but what about the rest of your life? Because we are more than just one goal, right? As I believe it was Seneca said, life cannot survive on one hope alone, just as a ship cannot survive on a single anchor. And you think about that. We all have more than one goal. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about when I hear the whole thing about small victories. Small victories are the things that lead to larger victories.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. It makes me think of right away. It takes me into the rugby world because we talk about this so much. I had a funny moment now with the engaged kids on Saturday, running around playing a family touch session. It was awesome. But we had a couple new kids, and I told them some basic rules. We threw them into the fire. Just said, hey, pass it backwards, run forward, go. And the kid goes, Coach, if I pass it backwards, how do I get forward? And I said, well, you have to run. And there's this really funny thing in rugby where it's everything, your pass is always backwards. But when we talk about offensive shape and we get into like the strategy of an offensive structure inside of rugby, it's all about getting a little victory in order to open up a hole somewhere else down the line. To take a very really, you would say, elementary rugby tactic, but it's a great one because of that reason. It's a fundamental for so many teams. Was what we used to do back with the Grizzlies. It was quite literally bang, 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 go wide. Bang, 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 go wide. And all it did was make the team work back and forth and back and forth. The thing that teams struggle with so much in rugby is when they start moving backwards, they try to take a big bite. When they start moving backwards, they try to go out wide. You can't go out wide with, higher level, you call it slow ball. You can't go out wide with slow ball, but you can't go out wide if you're moving backwards, right? You have to get that little victory. And I think that's one of the things that's so important when you start talking about hitting your goals and, finding your successes. We're recording this on January 10th. We're talking about a lot about New Year's resolutions, new beginnings, all that kind of stuff. When you don't have momentum, you have to artificially create it. One of my favorite things, and I got this from you originally, but one of my favorite things I do inside of my life, whenever I have something really big that I need to get done and I have no momentum, to put it back into rugby terms, I'm moving backwards. It's slow ball. When I'm like that, do you know what I'll do? I'll go do the dishes. I'll go do laundry. I'll do something that I can go get this done in 15 minutes. And then that little bit of momentum then can take me into, okay, well, I'll do this next little bit. And you can keep building that momentum, just like in rugby. Bang, 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 go wide. Dishes, laundry, sweep the floor, record a video for Nexus Best, or whatever it is. Like, it's like you build that momentum that way. But the reason I wanted to ask this so much today, and
hold on.
I'm interested. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, because I just got to mention my old boss, Bill McRaven, and his YouTube video that has millions of views, and it's about making your bed. Get up each morning and make your bed. It's a small victory to start the day.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. And it's one of those things. I think a lot of the time when we think about small victories, it's like, oh, no, but I want a big victory. Well, how are you going to get there? Again, going back to the rugby example, you could try to go wide right now, but they're going to cover you. You've got to manipulate that defense into second, third phase, getting that success. But what I was going to say was I had some stats for you. I think you'll find these interesting. These are some stats around New Year's resolutions. All right. So what percentage of people do you think quit their New Year's resolutions in the first 7 days?
50.
Ooh, you gotta give people a little bit more credit. Only 25% quit in that first week. Now, that being said, after the first month, 64% of people quit. So that's why I thought this is such a good conversation to have today. Because most people, if you're like me and you're like my wife and most people I know, we made our New Year's resolutions. And you have probably done pretty darn well so far. We're on day 10. First day doesn't count. We're on day 9, really, of New Year's resolutions. No one starts on day 1. Everyone starts on day 2. But you had the momentum. You've been working out. You've been dieting, whatever it is. And so I think what I want to throw over to you, Dad, is how do you take that momentum there and those patterns of behavior, those routines, those different pieces, and build them into the long-term plan? And just to give a little background on that, the reason I'm asking this is because what happens at the beginning of the year? People look at the year, it's a long time, and they can fill in all these really ambitious goals because that's 365 days. Sorry. Drop off first day, like I said, 364 days, okay? Maybe take off Christmas, right? So you got 360 some odd days is the point to make all of this progress towards your goals. When you start thinking about it like that, it's really easy to say, I can do all these big, amazing things. So you get really excited, and so you put in that work for the first day. Then that first week, you don't see that progress right away. And so people start to get down on themselves. We don't have to go down this rabbit hole, but the Freebird effect that we've talked about all the time starts to really bake in. It's like, I see all this stuff I could do, but I can't do it yet. So how do they take that first week of successes and turn it into a full year of successes?
Well, again, it's building on the small victories. And what it amounts to is the fact that if you can be successful in one part or piece of your life, that same success can come over in other areas. I've talked about that, but you have to decide. So here's one of the things that I talk about when I talk about energy level. If I can shift out of the blame mode, the negative energy and that level, to the blamer mode when I'm on the highway, when I'm, in road rage and all that sort of stuff. If I can do it there, then guess what? I can do it someplace else.
Yeah.
If I can do it at the dinner table with Miss Suzanne, then I can do it in an office meeting. If I can do it at an interaction with a stranger, then I can do it with somebody who is in my inner circle. And that's the truth of it. If you have the skill set to do it in one area of your life, one category of your life even, then guess what? You have that same skill set, that same skill set exists in you.
Yep.
It doesn't exist over here in a bucket that's locked up in that category of life. It exists in you, the human. And guess what? You can make the decision. So you can guess what a lot. You can make the decision to use that same skill anywhere else in life at any other time. Say no to snacks. Everybody wants to lose weight at the beginning of the year. Well, we probably all should because we've been eating since Thanksgiving nonstop.
Oh, yeah.
Truthfully. But, it comes back to that fact of you decide. If I can say no to something, to cigarettes, to drugs, then I can say no to candy and sweets and dessert. If I can say no to candy, sweets, and dessert, I can say no to second helpings of steak.
Ooh,
that's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
That's a real tough one, but I can do that. And if I can say no to a second helping of steak, I can also look at that plate with the steak and the baked potatoes and the green beans and go, feeling pretty full. Mm-hmm. I'm going to push back. All these things are decisions that we can make. And if you're struggling to make those decisions and that commitment, to keep those commitments, look around in other places in your life where you're making that commitment. Yeah. Do you get up every morning and read a devotional? Do you go to church every Sunday? Do you have a group of people that you're committed to? Are you part of a veteran business leader mastermind that you are committed to showing up twice a week, no matter what? If you can commit to that, then you can commit to other things.
Yeah, it makes me think of, and I'm going to paraphrase Marcus Aurelius on this, but it makes me think of his line that if it's possible for any man to do this anytime, then it's possible for you to do it today. And that perspective is so important. And what it really brings me to is something I was thinking while I was preparing for this recording, which is we always talk about, and it's kind of this joke of like the new year and how arbitrary it is, of the calendar and time and all that kind of stuff, right? How arbitrary all these things are. But yet everyone goes, hey, new year, new me, right? The next phase of when you start looking at how arbitrary that is, that first phase is rejection. Right? But we've talked about this on the podcast. You can't reject just for the sake of rejection. You have to replace it with something else. So if it's arbitrary, the real answer there isn't that you shouldn't do anything and you should just stay who you are. The real answer is you can do it whenever the hell you want. And I think that's one of the most important pieces. Like new year, new me, screw that. New week, new me. My wife made a comment. Oh, she was doing great with her New Year's resolution. She was working out all last week. And she was like, oh, yeah, we got it. New year, new me. And I was like, no, new week. How do we do this next week? You do it next week. And if you just take it in that 1 week at a time mindset, you can get so much more done because you still have that ambitious goal like I talked about earlier. You still have that, hey, if I do this every day all year, I'm going to be so different. And that's so exciting. And it's an exciting thing. That's why we all so romanticized around it. But you can then break that up into a little chunk. Hey, I screwed up last week. I can bounce back this week. And those are the other pieces there too. You can keep the momentum going by just taking that bite 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time, whatever your measurement is. Again, it's arbitrary really. But then the other piece of that is getting back in control when you mess up. When you have a loss, it's not fatal. I'm going to take it back to our rugby example because I got rugby on my mind today. And if you're moving backwards, generally speaking, what are we going to do if we're going to move backwards? We're inside our own 22. What do? Exit, right? We're going to kick it down the field. Mm-hmm. In terms of rugby, a lot of people think of that because they're used to football and they think you're giving away possession, which you are. But every phase on defense is an opportunity to win back possession. And so really, the way I always think about this, the way I coach this is when we get back on defense, where there's a turnover that's intentional or not intentional, you then have the opportunity to go get that ball back. Every single phase is an opportunity. Every single day is an opportunity for you. If you don't work out today because you got too busy with your work or whatever it is, tomorrow, new year, new me. Try it again. New day, new me. Whatever it is for you, take that mindset and have that memory of a goldfish, I think was it Charles Barkley who said that in the interview, that it was like all of the best athletes. Oh, no, I'm thinking of the commercial with him where he goes in and they ask him about some play that he messed up in the playoffs one year. And he goes, what are you talking about? I didn't do that. And he's like, hey, did you just drop that glass of water over there? He goes, no, I didn't. I didn't do that, because all the greats have short memories, right? And so you have to have a short memory with these kind of things and then flush it, get rid of it, and then keep moving forward. Make that intentional step to start moving forward the next day and do that with your small victories.
Yeah, and our buddy Reggie said that on our podcast a week or so ago. Next play, best play. And here's a great Stoic quote from Marcus Aurelius about this, and he calls it epithets for yourself, mantras for yourself: upright, modest, straightforward, sane, cooperative, disinterested. Try not to exchange them for others, and if you should forfeit them, set about getting them back. That's what we're talking about, right? I mean, if you tried today and you said, here's my standard. I'm not going to eat 6 Snickers bars. I'm only going to eat 3. And you eat 4. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to be better. That's the only way to improve in life is what's the step that I'm going to take to improve myself? What are the things I'm going to do? Even if I screw it up today, if I decide I want to change, then I can change. No matter how bad off, how much I screwed it up today, if I decide today I want to be better, then I can be better. That's the difference.
It makes me think of, when you talk about, we're covering a lot of different aspects of Stoicism today, but the other piece that it comes to mind with, and also it's because Stoicism is important, it ties into all these different aspects. We talk about a growth mindset and all that. But what it really comes back to is the pain when you have something negative. And it's not something negative inside of you, the negativity comes from inside of you. The outside event is just an outside event. And I think that's a big piece when you start talking about these losses, is the loss is really only as bad as you make it. If we have to kick the ball away, kick away possession, it's only bad if you never get that ball back, right? If your next step is to go get the ball back, if your next step is to work out tomorrow morning and get back on schedule, then was that ever really that big of a loss? Because what I think people tend to do is get into this negative spiral where if you mess something up, you beat yourself up over it. And you create this negative spiral there where you're taking something that was really not that bad, having one extra Snicker bar, not that bad. But then you beat yourself up over it. And then that removes all of your motivation to go do the good thing and to bring it back to the rugby metaphor, to go get that ball back. And I think that's such an important piece. We talk about this all the time. And I think we talk about this a lot in sports. I really think getting on my high horse a little bit, I think we should talk about this more in other areas of life, which is not to add the moral conundrum to the situation. If I drop a pass, does it do me any good for you to come over and yell at me about dropping a pass? I know I dropped the pass. I know I ate too much food. I know I didn't work out today. There's no point beating yourself up over it. That's another thing. If you read Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, he says this like every other page. Like, don't beat yourself up. Don't make things worse than they need to be. And that's what it really comes down to. If you take that loss, then go find a small victory, get your momentum back, and keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's not quitting. Yeah. And that belief that, you know what, I messed this up, but tomorrow I'm going to do better. And you could even take it, we were saying next year, new year, new me, new week, new me, new day, new me. How about new hour, new me? Do that. I screwed up. I grabbed some M&Ms, So now I'm not going to have M&Ms anymore because I screwed that up. And I want to stay on that diet plan. That's really what it amounts to. And this desire, this focus to achieve the outcome, the goal that you want to achieve.
Yeah, and if you're going through this video and you're thinking about where you're at with your goals, and if this is starting to make sense to you, if you want to hit those goals for the year, you don't want to be the 64% of people that quit after the first month of your resolution. Come on, folks, we can do better than that. Get that down to 50% at least. Come on, that's our goal for this year as a people. But if you're going through and you want to hit these goals, you want to make those resolutions happen, and this concept of the new year, new me, you want to turn that into the new day, new me, and to switch your mindset, then what you should do is go to findyourpurpose.coach. We've got a lot of free resources there. And then especially if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button because we've got a lot more content just like this for you to help you to hit your goals and to make a bigger impact by living with intention to pursue your purpose and make that impact in the world, because that's what it really goes back to. I've been joking about this so much in my circles, Dad, ever since our last two podcasts conversations last week with Jason and Fran, and the amount of big hairy questions, the amount of meaning of life questions we asked during those, it was amazing. So what is the meaning of life? It's impact, right? And so if you want to make a bigger impact, then you should go to findyourpurpose.coach and sign up for some of our programs, sign up for some of those free resources, and don't let those little losses, those tiny missteps, be the fatal thing for your goals for the year. Instead, crush your goals. New week, new me, new day, new me, new hour, new me, whatever it is. Take that new you and go start living it.